Hello everyone, welcome back to the Spotlight, and we're here after 3 wins in a row. Who'd have thought it'd been a Man United fan? The Ten Hag effect is taking place, sort of, with another 1-0 win versus Leicester. And I'll get straight into the Leicester game and what I thought of it. Overall, I thought the game was boring to watch. Nothing happened. We had that one little chance that come from a massive Leicester mistake, and yes, we thankfully punished them, but they were all over for that moment on that goal. Absolutely fell asleep and we scored. For the other 89 minutes of that game, absolutely nothing happened. I thought we were solid again at the back, as we have been for the last couple of games. I think the back four again were outstanding. Dalot, Malacia, Varane and Martinez were class again. They are miles ahead of the likes of Lindelof, Shaw, Maguire, but I'm not going to go into that again. For me, the last 3 games, they're why we've won the games. It's not because of what's been going on anywhere else on the pitch, in my opinion. Varane, he needs to stay fit. He is absolute. I know everyone's rattling on about Martinez. Varane is top class. Like, he's just so casual about everything. He's absolutely world class, in my opinion, Varane. And then he's complemented by Martinez's tenaciousness about going and winning the ball at all costs. But going forward, we can't carry on playing games like this where we're soaking up pressure, letting the other team have the ball constantly. I know it's maybe a tactic to hit Rashford on the break, but it ain't worked for the Southampton game and it hasn't worked for the Leicester game. And whatever you say or think about Bruno Fernandes, I think he has been absolutely awful for the whole of this season and before. I think yes, his passing is awful. Yes, he's energetic and he can run and he can provide us with a bit of a press, but on the ball, for me, he is a disaster. Especially when we're winning a game like we're 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go and he's still trying to hit diagonals and stuff. That ball needs to go 5 yards left or right. It needs to be knocked into Ronaldo's feet for him to hold it up. We do not need these diagonals giving the ball away constantly. If you watch that second half, the amount of times we just give him the ball back is absolutely ridiculous. And that's why we end up under pressure. And we end up defending like mad because we cannot keep the ball in their half. So we're going to move on to the midfield. McTominay had an okay game again, to be fair to him, defensively. Going forward, we all know he's no good going forward. Defensively, he was all right again. With that back four, McTominay's actually done all right the last couple of games defensively, but I still think we need him to be able to pick up the ball and progress it, which is something he can't do. I think Eriksen was steady again, nothing special. He tried a few silly balls like Bruno as well, but again, I think second half he's run out of steam. Bruno, as I've just mentioned, I think he was just awful all game. Just poor, totally. And people will probably say he runs around a lot. He will create a chance. Maybe one chance in 90 minutes, but when we're soaking up pressure, do you think he's going to create one chance when we dominate? I think on Sunday when we play Arsenal, they will absolutely dominate us. And the only way we're going to score is a moment. I feel like Ten Hag is going backwards and starting with a solid defence, and we'll build forward with the new players we've got in Anthony and Casemiro, and when Martial comes back, we maybe will be more of a threat going forward. But to me, at the minute, I feel like we're playing the game that Ollie played when he first started 3.5 years ago or whatever it was, where it was sit deep and knock it on the counter. I mean, it's working at the minute, but it won't work long term. You can't win every game 1-0 like this. I mean, we played Southampton, who are at best a mid to low table team, and we played Leicester, who are currently bottom of the league. 1-0s. So we'll go on to the forward line now. Alanga, he's a youth player. Personally, for me, he's not good enough. If we're selling Garner, why are we not selling Alanga? If we're not playing Garnacho, sending Hannibal out and the likes, why are we keeping someone like Alanga? He reminds me of a younger Dan James. He just runs up and down the wing and doesn't do anything. And yes, defensively it probably helps, but he does not help us going forward. Rashford is a centre forward. I've said it 1,000 times. I don't care really whether he's a centre forward. He's better off the left, but I still think he's poor out there because his work rate backwards isn't good enough. And up front today, he's against Johnny Evans, who's a steady centre-back. Like, he's a decent Premier League centre-back, Johnny Evans, and he's just getting tight to him and just using his strength just to knock him off the ball. Whatever you think about Marcus Rashford, he is not strong enough to be a number 9. Look at the top number 9s in the Premier League now. Nunez, Kane, Haaland, Ronaldo. They're all built in a certain way. 6 foot plus, massively strong, can hold the ball up, can link the play. Rashford is not a play linker. Rashford, for me, is exactly the player Ten Hag's trying to play, and it works against teams like Liverpool and City where they're in our half constantly. We catch them quickly on the break. Against Leicester's and Southamptons and that, he don't work. You need someone up there who can hold the ball, and whatever you think about Anthony Martial, if you stick the ball on his chest or his feet, he will get hold of it and he'll lay it off. Rashford can't do it. So, personally, I think we still need to make changes in that team, which I'll get onto when I get around to a bit of talking about the Arsenal game on Sunday. So I just wanted to go into the window as it has now closed. We've obviously kept Ronaldo, which after the last couple of games where Martial's been injured and Rashford has been playing up front, whatever you think about Ronaldo, past it, can't play, too slow, won't press, blah, blah, blah. I would rather be playing long balls to Ronaldo to get hold of it and bring it down and bring the likes of, even if it is Alanga, Rashford, Martial, into the game rather than hitting a long ball to Rashford to lose it 9 times out of 10. So that's the argument for that, whatever you think of Ronaldo. What do I think about the window player-wise now it's closed because we haven't signed anyone else since my last video? The window overall player-wise has got to be an 8. We've absolutely transformed the defence. They look like a completely different... Well, they are a completely different set of players, but like it looks like we've just totally and utterly... I can't even get it into words... just shored up. You know, we look nowhere near as open as we used to, and that's even with McTominay still playing. I think Martinez, even though Souness is an absolute prat, he's started off class. He's got to be an 8. I think Eriksen, he's just a steady tick-over player. He's done nothing special so far, but he just keeps the ball moving. I think he's a 7, especially he's a free. On a free. Malacia, he's come in, he's young, again he's really tenacious, he's not Luke Shaw out the side. I think at the minute you've got to give him an 8 as well. I think he potentially has got a mistake or 2 in him, but at the moment he's doing fine. Anthony we're yet to see, but for me he's going to come straight into the team. He'll probably be on the bench against Arsenal, but I think after the Arsenal game you're going to see a change in that forward line. And Casemiro, from his couple of cameos that he's had, you've got to give him a 7 or an 8. He just looks like a different class in that midfield organising, just his tenaciousness, the way he can get hold of the ball again and give it organisation, something we haven't had in that midfield. Window-wise overhaul and how it played out. I mean, if the last month was the whole window, you'd say it'd be like an 8 or 9 out of 10. But you've got to remember the first 2 or 3 months of the window where it was absolutely pathetic. And obviously the Glazers have panicked in the last few weeks, realised the need to spend money, whether that's to do with the takeover talk or whether they saw that we'd got battered in the first 2 games and realised that we need to do something about it. Who knows? Only they know that. But we've spent the money in the end. But I would say it's got to be like a 4. And the way Arnold and Murta have acted in this window, I was prepared to give them the benefit of the doubt, as I say, but fly into Turin for Rabiot, fly into Spain to get De Jong and ended up with neither of them. I mean, it's absolutely pathetic, isn't it, really? It's like they've just wanted a summer holiday. I mean, Murto and... I'd give them a worse score than the Glazers at the minute. At least the Glazers have actually coughed the money up. Them two are like a 1 out of 10. Sacking. They probably need to be sacked, to be honest, or at least one of them. Probably Murta, because he's the director of football. It's absolutely pathetic. And anyway, we'll go on to what I think about the Arsenal game and what changes I'd make. So I'd make no changes at the back. It'd be the same. De Gea, Dalot, who I think has come on leaps and bounds. I always liked Dalot, but he's showing the reason why we bought him now. Varane, Martinez, Malacia. And midfield, I would take McTominay out, start Casemiro. And I would also drop Bruno. I mean, there's a few options in midfield, but I think after all the stick I've given McTominay, at the minute I would rather drop Bruno. Because at least defensively that unit with McTominay there is working. Bruno is not working. So the midfield I would go with would be either Casemiro and McTominay with probably Eriksen in front. And maybe after 60, 70 minutes when Eriksen tires, you'd bring Bruno or Donny on. Or I would play Casemiro, Eriksen and Donny. Or swap Eriksen and Donny round. I think everyone's wanted McTominay out of the team, or most people have, for a long time. So it's time it happened. But I think Bruno, he's getting some stick, but he's not... Somehow he's playing 90 minutes every game when he gives the ball away 9 times out of 10 passes. And his stats had gone off the boil last year. I actually had a look in that season where he scored 18 Premier League goals. In that 2021 season, 9 of them were penalties. So 9 is still a decent record for a midfielder goals-wise, but his stats were padded by penalties in that season. And yes, he got a lot of assists, but since then, he's been off it, completely and utterly off it. I think he needs to go sit next to Maguire and that on the bench for a couple of games and just sort himself out a bit. I think against Arsenal, they're obviously a possession-based team, or try to be. They're obviously moulded in the Pep way by Arteta. I can see us barely touching the ball in this game if you've got McTominay and Bruno, Rashford and Elanga. They can't keep hold of the ball. McTominay can't pass forward. Bruno gives the ball away 9 times out of 10. Rashford is as strong as a pencil lead. If you play the ball to his feet, we've lost it. Elanga, young, up-and-coming player. In my opinion, he's another Dan James. He's not good enough. Anthony's not going to play. Be interesting to see if he does play Ronaldo or Martial. For me, the forward line would be Ronaldo in the middle, Rashford off the left, and Sancho off the right. Or if Martial's fit, I would go probably Ronaldo, Martial off the left, and Elanga or Rashford off the right. I don't think Rashford's any good off the right. We ain't got another option. I can't see him start until Anthony starts. Elanga maybe keeps his place on the right. And it's on the left where it'll change, whether it'll stay as Sancho, Rashford or Martial. I mean, he might play Martial down the middle, Rashford left, Sancho right. Personally, I think Sancho's look better off the left-hand side. I think going forward, it'll be Sancho, Ronaldo or Martial and Anthony on the right. And it'll be interesting to see if he sticks with this benching Ronaldo and bringing him on with 20 minutes to go to get hold of the ball up front, or whether he is going to bring Ronaldo in and maybe play Martial off the left. It's something for us to look into going forward, but I would change the midfield. McTominay and Bruno will be out, or at the very least, Bruno will be out. And for me, we are light up front, but I would take Rashford out of the team, or at least put him on the left for a game and see if he can get his work rate on the left, which he didn't have last season off the left. He did not want to work back, and that was a massive problem for us. And just going into a little bit of last season where we did have Rashford on the left and sometimes Greenwood on the right, or whoever else we played on the right, I think there is a big difference in the wingers we've got now, where it's like Sancho and Elanga are prepared to track back. They don't just lose the ball up front and stand there and let the other team overrun. They will go back and do the defensive bit, and I think that leads a lot into why we're a lot better defensively. The defence starts from the front, if you know football. It does not start when you get to the D of your 18-yard line and you expect the defenders to defend everything. It does not happen. I'm a centre-back at Sunday League level, and I played in a few poor teams. And when you're under the cosh for 85, 90 minutes of a game, you will concede. And that's what's been happening. And with Sancho and Elanga doing that dirty work backwards, it is helping the defence out massively. More than you'll realise if you don't play 11-a-side football yourself. If your wingers are getting back, your midfield are getting deep and getting back, even if they're just in position, blocking runs, taking a man out of the game, you don't realise how big a difference that makes unless you play football yourself. And on that note, I'm going to leave it there. The Arsenal game, I think it'll probably be a draw. Maybe a 1-0 win to Arsenal. I think it will be close. I think they will dominate possession. Can we get that one chance and take it like we have in the last couple of games? Very possibly. Can we keep Arsenal out is a very different matter. They're a lot more of an attacking threat than Leicester and Southampton are. So I'll go for a 1-1 draw. And on that note, like, fave, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you on the next one.